Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome to an all new Wednesday SJU. I'm here with Eric, I'm here with Kim, and we are talking the state of movie theaters. Are they back, baby? I don't know, I still haven't been to one, but I'm thinking about it. We're also talking about there's a new Okoye series coming to Disney Plus, and most importantly, Shooter McGavin is joining the MCU. Shooter! Can't wait for that. And as always, we will be responding to questions and comments from viewers like yourselves, so keep those going in the chat. But business news. This is not investment advice, but I will just mention this, that the stock price of AMC keeps getting higher, people. Someone's juicing it. I think it has something to do with Reddit and perhaps cryptocurrency. I don't know, but if I had a big buy button like Mad Money, I would be smashing it right now because AMC, their stock has surged over 120%, sort of on the new, maybe related to the news, but regardless, the news is that they plan to raise $230 million to purchase ArcLight Cinemas and Pacific Theaters. Theaters, they're coming back. The masks are off. There are no more mask mandates. That's the other piece of news in America, at least. People are lifting mask restrictions if you've been vaccinated. I don't know if you have to show your card or your microchip or whatever, but if you've been vaccinated, you can take your mask off in the movie theater.
It's a trust system, so...
Oh, trust. Oh, yeah. Well, everyone's super trustworthy here, so that'll work great. And it seems like with some other box office news in the mix too, that Quiet Place pulled in $47.5 million, $57 million if you count the 4-day holiday weekend, and Cruella doing a respectable $26.5 million in theaters, but add on to that all the VOD purchases. Who's to say how much those are? Guys, are theaters back? Are we back in the movie business or what?
I mean, it seemed this was a very optimistic weekend, right? Like it seemed to show that a lot of people were raring to go. So yeah, I mean, I was pretty excited seeing Quiet Place 2's box office. Basically, I saw some people noting, I think it was Scott Mendelson at Forbes, or is he Vanity Fair? But anyway, he had mentioned that it basically ended up making what it was estimated to make over a year ago when they were doing projections for pre-pandemic opening weekend for Quiet Place 2. So that's kind of, it's pretty impressive, right? Given we went through a pandemic, the movie had to be promoted all over again, and the capacity for theaters is still pretty damn low. They can't sell all the seats. So I think this seemed to show that there was a lot of pent up excitement for people to actually go into movie theaters.
Yeah, it's definitely a sign that that people have missed the live cinema experience. I say live, the in-person cinema experience.
You got the live Krasinski performance, right? Him and Emily Blunt did the whole movie.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So I mean, it's really promising. But I think we all felt. I don't know if it's because we're in a bubble, but we all felt that that fever for the theater experience.
Nice choice of words.
But hopefully you don't have a fever when you go back to the theater.
Movie fever.
No.
So what do you think about it? Are you willing to work on the honor system for just assuming the person next to you without a mask coughing into their popcorn is vaccinated, or do you personally, you two, feel like you need more reassurances before you're willing to go back in?
My concern is, that the news over the past couple of weeks has been concern over this new variant, the Delta variant, as it's now called.
Oh God, I haven't even been keeping up with the news. We
have
that sounds ominous.
And I was just watching. I don't want to fearmonger, but I will. I was just watching a medical expert on the news this morning saying that the problem with with people unvaccinated still catching the new variant is that mutations can occur more quickly, and we don't know what will happen with any new mutations and whether they might be able to get around the vaccinations.
But mutants are super cool, if X-Men taught me anything.
Exactly. I don't know. I feel a little bit like it might be a bit too soon to remove the requirements for masks.
Okay. So you're out. So I'm thinking of going in, but I'm thinking of going in like right now before we have the big bounce back. This is like the calm before the storm, or it's on its way down and we're in good shape. But I'm starting to feel like I would wear a mask even though I've been vaccinated, just out of habit and just for other people's concern that I'd go back to a movie theater this weekend. I think I'm ready.
And as you said, sorry, the capacities are still not. They're still limited, aren't they? So you will still have some social distancing measures in place.
Sure. Much like taking our shoes off at the airport, we will have measures in place to keep us safe at the theater.
So yeah, me personally, I waited till I was fully vaccinated. I waited those 2 weeks after my second shot, and now I've been back to the movies like 20 times since April 21st, the date I could go back to the movies. I was raring to go. I am definitely one of those people though that's like right now I'm still wearing a mask. First of all, and in California you're still supposed to wear a mask indoors, even with AMC, and AMC said, and these theater chains said, if it's local mandates, you still have to wear them inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel comfortable doing that. And I certainly don't have, if people want to keep doing that, they should for sure. And I do think it'll be different when the capacity changes, right? Because there's definitely something much more comfortable right now because we're not sitting shoulder to shoulder with strangers. It is all nicely spaced out. Also, it's just nice and more comfortable that way.
Sure.
But so I think, I think it's going to be, I totally get everyone will have their own personal levels of what will be comfortable for them. And if suddenly next week they're like, okay, no masks in theaters at all and 100% capacity, then I'd have to maybe decide to go to matinees only or something for a little while. I think we're lucky. It's funny, Kim, because you have a different perspective in the UK. Like in LA, we're doing remarkably well. Like as far as like vaccination rate is like super high. I think LA itself will reach herd they said, why am I forgetting the second word I'm supposed to say here? Immunity. Thank you.
Yeah.
By July. So that's great for LA, but that doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of other people around us. So, you just have to go I'm not say wary on it, but just, what's comfortable for you. But I do think seeing this box office this weekend, it makes me think, okay, a lot of people are comfortable. Some probably more than they should be. And, we can all have our personal beliefs on who's being unsafe and who's, not doing more than they could do. But I do think it does show that there's a lot of demand there. And so if you can make that much money, it was crazy for me. I was trying to buy tickets for Quiet Place 2 for my brother and I on Sunday. This was like 3 days before, and all the shows were getting very close to sold out again because of capacity. But it still was like, oh, wow, like people are buying way ahead for all these shows, and it's hard to get tickets right now. So there's certainly a lot of people trying, which Hollywood has to, the studios, and we want the studios to be happy, right? They have to be very happy about this weekend.
Yeah, I'm shocked and pretty encouraged that Quiet Place had a fantastic opening weekend. By far the highest film debut since the pandemic began. Down from last year's Memorial Day weekend box office, obviously, but signs of life are returning. What do you guys make of the Cruella debut, which we have some data from Samba TV doing the Lord's work, trying to pierce the veil of these online VOD purchases. They say that 686,000 U.S. households, and Disney Plus is international, correct? Like you can buy Cruella.
It's not nearly as many places as Netflix, but
sure.
It's still in a lot of countries so far. Yeah.
But let's put a low bar, a floor of 686,000 purchases of Cruella over the weekend, in addition to its $26 million in theaters opening. Some back of the napkin math, that's like $20 extra million at least to add on to the opening. I've actually forgotten, what's good anymore. If it's make it like a $50 million opening weekend, is that good for a movie like Cruella?
It is, especially. I want to give a shout out, as the kids say. Did the kids say that? Probably not. To our friend Dan Merle, because I was watching his video yesterday where he reminded me that it's like the main thing you need to keep in mind with that 686,000, if that's correct, because again, it's Samba TV is an independent company that are saying this is what we estimate, is that 20 million plus, if Disney made that US, they keep 100% of it. Yeah. Unlike the box office, there's no split. So if that's true, they made more from Disney Plus than they made from the box office, if you account for how much they would have had to split with the theaters.
They probably don't even have to pay the talent anymore, because they give them more money up front to never pay them anymore down the line.
Well, I think in a case, in everything that happened, HBO Max, this is one of the things they had to face, was doing these renegotiations for these movies that were originally planned for theaters only. Now I'm sure with new contracts, this is all being figured out ahead of time. But yeah, that's pretty good for Disney Plus. Again, there's so many variables. I was thinking about this. I'm like, but are you more likely to keep making money in the box office? Like, well, did Disney Plus basically get everyone who's going to buy Cruella did it this weekend, and now everyone else will just wait a few months for it to be the quote unquote free version on Disney Plus? I don't know.
Right. But that's also true of theater releases too, where the majority of people see it the first and second weekend, and then it really tails off until it pops up for free or for rental somewhere.
Although I do, and again, I might be totally wrong here. This is just my speculation. I feel like you're more likely to casually go see Cruella on weekend 2 than casually decide now I'll pay $30 for it at home. But I might be wrong. I just feel like
especially since it's a family movie, Eric. Actually,
Yeah, I think any weekend where the kids are being loud, put on Cruella. It's a weird movie for a small child, but hey,
it is. Hence this down here.
Still enjoyable, but man, is that long. Even if your kid is into it, that's 2 hours of that. Woof, woof. To quote the dogs.
They Snyder cutted Cruella.
But you're at home, so you can take as many bathroom breaks as you want. And then look, I feel like no disparagement to the three of ours intellects, but I feel like we need a coked up stockbroker correspondent or something to help us make sense of the AMC. I don't know if this is a scam, if this is legit, if this is somewhere in between. Can either of you help me make sense of what this stuff is, and should I be giving my money over to some shady individual and add a few decimal points, or what's happening? Help! What is happening here?
I mean, I understand about as much as you, Spencer, I think, but I do think it's linked to the social media boosted share price, because of that. That's why they've decided that they can sell and raise the capital to buy up these chains, these indie chains.
Yeah. And is that good for? It seems like, I know our thing is like, oh, theaters are back, but is that good for theaters that AMC will have like such a monopoly over theater chains, or is this like it's this or nothing? You know, like Starbucks actually owns a bunch of other coffee chains. We just don't really recognize it.
It could be this or nothing, but I think it's something that, well, it's certainly something I feared would happen earlier in the pandemic. You know, that somebody would come in with a lot of money and feed off the weak that couldn't survive, and I feel really bad for these indie chains that have gone under and now seeing them snapped up by AMC, and who knows what they'll do. Perhaps they'll continue running them on a similar basis, but you know, they'll take the profits ultimately, and ArcLight is no more.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, like, if they buy ArcLight, would they try to like operate it has ArcLight, or would they all just become AMC? Because not to get too in the weeds with like how ArcLight worked for people who don't know, but it was trying to be a slightly more high-end theater, and they showed like 3 trailers before each movie, and they were trying to be very, you know, much more about like presentation versus AMC showing, like, I love movie trailers, but AMC pushes me to the limit with this like 8-10 trailers before a movie and how much stuff pre-show stuff they do. So I am curious if they'd operate it as its own thing, like it's a, you know, ArcLight, an AMC company, or if they'd all just become AMC. But how's it all began? Like, all I know, Spencer, yeah, you mentioned it, Kim, but it's like all the stuff with Reddit and how they were purposely driving up stock that was like doing very bad. Like, they basically saved AMC a few months ago before the theaters were reopening. They basically helped like push the stock way up for AMC and really, really helped them. And so now it's this crazy thing. I mean, literally today, right now, the stock has been, you know, going huge, and then there've been halts on it, and then it's been dropping, going back up. I never can follow any of that stuff. My intellectual nature is not for that, but it is. Look, good job, random Redditors who save companies. AMC, of course, is not, you know, a little mom and pop shop, and yeah, there is something to be said about it's kind of sucks if one company's owning everything. I do want to see theaters survive though, so I'm conflicted, guys.
Yeah, conflicted too. I mean, oh, go ahead, Kim.
Or in one of those articles that Cinemark shares have gone down and IMAX has been downgraded to a sell rating, which is rare. So wow. Redditors need to get on the case with those two.
Yeah, true cinephiles are saving IMAX right now. But yeah, it's good for the random Redditors, and also good for AMC to know which way the wind is blowing and to sell shares while they were hot and turn them into cash, because as I'm learning, stocks are funny money. They roll a dice and some go up and some go down, and they have no correlation to the real world. So good for AMC for being like, oh, today it's high. Let's turn that into cold, hard cash. There was also something that said they're now giving investors in the stock a free large popcorn. Which is that legal? Is that bribing? But either way, that popcorn ain't cheap. And so yeah, I applaud the grift. Whoever's grifting who, if it brings movies back, keep it going.
Pro tip, guys. I recently discovered at AMC, if you buy the kids meal, you get a small little popcorn that's, I think, a decent size for one person. And if you're okay with a Coke the size of like a can of Coke, it'll do you well for just a few dollars.
Interesting.
Greatest value on the menus. Kids meal, guys.
Everything's oversized at a movie theater, so children would be normal. Okay, great. All right, hot tip when we go back. Thank you everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe and hit the bell and never miss any more hard-hitting economic analysis and stock tips like this. Ooh, we got so many hot stock tips. By Disney and Amazon. I've heard of them. This is not investment advice. I do not own actual stock. And if you still have it, here's a stock to invest in. Kim's book. Why We Love the Matrix. This one is going to be a collector's item. Get it in the original leather-bound hardcover edition, and she'll sign it for you. That's right. That is available on bookstores, online, and everywhere. All right, moving on. There's other news. They're actually going to have some films and television series, but probably not in theaters because these are coming to Disney+. Okoye, the series. What'll it be called? Okoye. I'm guessing. So Denai Guerrera will be returning as Okoye in Ryan Coogler's upcoming Black Panther Wakanda Forever, as well as reprising the role in a spin-off series for Disney Plus, described as an origin story. Oh, you had me till origin story. It's unclear if this is a different show than the already reported on Wakanda spin-off for Disney Plus. Well, I guess I kind of cheated my response. I would love to see present day Okoye and not Okoye Origins, but what say you? Are you excited to go back to Wakanda 20 to 40 years ago, or are you just going to wait for Wakanda Forever in theaters?
Both. I put this as a little snarky thing, but this was one of those, such a weird way this got reported, which was THR did an article about like Hollywood's most powerful lawyers. And one of the guys they listed, like, he made the deal for Denai Guerrera to play Okoye and an origin story for Disney Plus. So that's all we know. And maybe that origin story part is wrong, or maybe it's one of those things where it's her present day with some flashbacks. She's certainly, great actress. Can more than hold her own on screen. So I see no reason why not. I would assume this is the same show we heard would be a Wakanda centric show for Disney Plus, but who knows? Black Panther made a hell of a lot of money. They could do multiple TV shows based in that world. But I do think one about her is a no-brainer. I agree with you though, Spencer. I'd rather it not be like, all stuff before the first Black Panther movie. Just make it in the present. And if you want to, sprinkle in those flashbacks, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like I do quite want to see an origin story. I think of how the Dora Milaje was formed. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were really well received in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Their inclusion, I think, and I would definitely like more of that. The origins of that world. I know that in the I quite like to see them change the history because in the comics they're referred to as wives in training, I believe, which sits uncomfortably with me. I know T'Challa rejected that, but I'm sure for a long time in that world, that was the way it was. They were competing to be the wife of the king.
Interesting. Okay. And yeah, it does. I feel like Chadwick's absence could loom heavy over an origin story. And God help us if they do a CGI, Carrie Fisher style thing for him. So let's move forward.
I'll just say that I actually like your idea, Kim, about a Dora origin story. I just assumed that she would be too young for that because they were in the 1992 prologue. We know they've been around for at least a few decades. But I think Wakanda itself, you could do, decades. Like you could do a century ago if you wanted.
Yeah.
They've already kind of really established that that's a lot too.
But if she's reforming the Dora Milaje, if they, if you made that they were the wives in training, I guess up until the late 90s, 2000s, and she kind of changes it.
Right. She's like, hey, this sucks.
Yeah, hey, I have some thoughts. Anyways, speaking of things that are still going, but I'm excited for this. Creed 3, Michael B. Jordan is going to be directing for the first time. Speaking of Ryan Coogler, who did the first one. Did Stallone do the second one?
No, I keep forgetting the name of the director of the second one.
Okay. Jr., I think.
There you go. So we have a rival set to enter the ring. Jonathan Majors, you know him, you love him from Lovecraft Country. He is stepping into the ring to be Adonis Creed's nemesis. Now, if this is following the pattern of Creed movies to this point, this is Clubber Lang Jr. This is definitely Mr. T's kid, right? Because he can only fight the children or some other kind of relation to Rocky's old rivals, correct?
I mean, I hope so. This is Kang the Conqueror versus Killmonger, which is exciting.
With Valkyrie standing there, trying to support him.
We need more actors. Do they all have to be in everything?
And it goes some way to plugging the Sylvester Stallone gap, right? Having Jonathan Majors in. I'm excited for it. I want to see them slug it out.
Yeah, I like him a lot. They mentioned how they're just one of the things trying to work out the deal is his schedule is crazy. He's about to film Ant-Man 3, and he doing this, so they'll have to figure that out. But yeah, he's obviously very up and coming, great talent. And it'll be interesting to see them actually move away from Rocky as a character. I've really liked the Creed movies, but I also think he can certainly Creed as a character stand on his own. Don't forget, guys, this is Amazon's Creed 3, by the way. So now that they own the MGM and Rocky of it all. But no, I like this has a new person for him to take on. So far, these movies have been very good about not having it. It's interesting because they haven't had a Clubber Lang or a Drago as far as like evil personified. He will murder your friends and loved ones. They
didn't need that. They had Drago. They had
right,
Drago.
But they redeemed him, yeah. And so far the two people he's fought have been like much more nuanced, certainly compared to the Rocky 3 and 4 era. So I don't know, maybe they'll go the other way.
That British guy was pretty mean. No offense, Kim. In Creed 1, what was his? Forget his name.
But he was still kind of portrayed as like Rocky himself, like he'd gotten like cocky and full of himself, is kind of the way they portrayed him. But so we'll see. But if Jonathan Major shows up with a mohawk and says if
fools are pitied,
right, I don't know what his name is, Frankie Lang, I don't know, but I'm all for it.
Well, he's just mad because Creed skipped him and went straight to Drago, which is Rocky 4, and you got to go in order and fight him first, and then you get to fight Tommy Gunn Jr. Well, we'll see. I'm really loving that series, and it has so far been afraid to completely break with the path laid by Rocky, character-wise and progression-wise. But we'll see. We'll see if this is an entirely new step.
Yeah.
But I don't know. After Clubber Lang, then you've run out of good Rocky villains. So let's just do Clubber Lang, and then we can move on. Then there's nobody to dig up.
Right.
Hulk Hogan's Brooke Hogan. All right. A final piece of news before we get into the questions. Christopher Mcdonald, you may know him as Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore, and he's really good on this new show Hacks on HBO. Very funny. He
also
is
Grease 2. If you're Grease 2.
Right, also Grease 2. Get that.
Classic.
He's the latest big name to join Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn in Secret Invasion, the Marvel series coming up for Disney+. Details about the role are under wraps. It's a new character that could cross over to the larger MCU, but couldn't they all? Including appearing in movies and other Disney+ limited series. So the cast of Secret Invasion is now ballooning. It includes Olivia Colman, Emilia Clarke, Kingsley Ben-Adir, Killian Scott, and the aforementioned Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn. Shooter's in the MCU. There's Nick Fury. So is that your prediction, Eric? Is he taking over the reins for Nick Fury? I mean, Sam Jackson can't do these forever, can he?
I don't think so. By the way, I don't know if I've ever seen Happy Gilmore.
Oh, sacrilege. It's the one good, there's two good Adam Sandler movies, and that's one of them.
But I always like Christopher McDonald. He was just one of those guys who was in a million things. I always liked him and stuff. And it was funny because I just saw him in Hacks, which is a great show, and everyone should watch it if you haven't. I was really happy to see him pop up there. And then, it seems like the Mcdonald assance is upon us because now he's Marvelized. So whatever Mcdonald's doing, I'm in. I'm sold.
Also in, yeah, he's great. He's a great screen presence. I'm wondering, I mean, obviously the questions about who he's going to play are opening up. I'm thinking, I'm going to put it out there. I think he might be an alternate version of Spider-Man. I don't think.
Aren't they all? I mean, he could be alternate reality Nick Fury. I mean, he looks like one of the comic versions with throw an eye patch on Shooter, and you got like a grizzled alternate dimension Nick Fury. I'm putting down my marker that that's who it is.
By the way, I'm glancing at Christian McDonald's IMDb, and apparently he starred in multiple straight to TV and video Midnight Run sequels playing the De Niro role. So the internet teaches you a lot. Midnight Run Around, another Midnight Run, a Midnight Run for Your Life. Great.
I know that the comic arc like kind of includes a whole bunch of it's Captain Marvel, it's Spider-Man, it's everybody for Secret Invasion. But do we know who like the superheroes are in this Disney Plus series, or is it just going to be kind of the organization?
No, it feels to me. What do you think, Kim? I feel like they're holding on to at least one big like Marvel hero that they don't want to let us know is in this yet, because even though none of these adaptations are one-to-one, like they always go on their own path, part of the fun of Secret Invasion still has to be like heroes you thought you knew were really Skrulls for a while.
Yeah.
So it feels like you're gonna need an Avenger or two in there.
Maybe it's one for Captain Marvel again. She's associated with them, so
yeah.
But they're pitching it as a Nick Fury and Talos show for what it's worth. Like, so as far as we know, those are the central characters of the show. Yeah.
Right. I think they're the leads, but I'm just saying, just like you can have one of the first episodes be like, thanks for your help, whichever Avenger, and then that person turns out to be a Skrull.
Right. Skrull, yeah.
So someone's popping up.
Someone's popping up. Shooter can't carry the whole franchise on his back. I'm gonna rewatch Happy Gilmore after this. I'm excited. Into the fan questions. Y'all have some good ones today, so let's dive in. Fiona Gilbert, no relation, asks, fan question for Spencer: does he play the guitar, or is it just a prop to make him look cool? Well, first of all, it's a bass. Second of all, I do play. I play very well. No, trying to be humble, but it's just the truth. And I don't know how to. Oh, hello! My little baby just walked in.
hello.
Real bass, real baby.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Somebody's just back from ballet class. Oh, here comes mom.
Is it her day?
Say bye-bye.
Hello. Do you have any thoughts on AMC stock?
Okay. Now, where was I? Let's see. Yes, I do play the bass. I need to figure out a way to get it like into the Zoom feed or something, and we'll do a little solo concert, because there's nothing worse than an acoustic bass session. you need to hear
behind
it.
the scenes, it should be known that our lead producer Max Dionne has been trying to start a Screen Junkie / Fandom ska band for at least 4 or 5 years now.
No, I'm out.
So maybe that's
I'm in.
The basis, but this has been a thing behind the scenes. He does like to take stock of who can play what instruments because he wants to.
A recorder? Yeah, I did some recorder in elementary school.
There you go. All right, and then this is a fascinating one. This
is a great one. I'm really excited.
We can bridge this generational divide. Jim One asks, I watched Encino Man for the first time. What's the deal with Pauly Shore? His performance was very random. I also checked out his old MTV show, but I just have more questions. So, Eric, you want to take a crack at explaining Pauly Shore?
Yeah. I do think about like when people were like so all in on a persona, and sometimes, I mean, it's like, like Pee Wee Herman, right? It's like Paul Rubens is not Pee Wee Herman, but that is just his on-screen persona. He's been doing it for decades now. And sometimes I think it helps that Pee Wee Herman was like a kid's character, so it could help kind of transcend generations. Because why was Pauly Shore what he was like. Why was he so popular doing that persona, doing the weasel? I don't know. At the time, because he was just taking the Valley guy, sort of persona, Spicoli, Bill and Ted.
Like slacker culture was huge in the 90s of like surfer, skater, slacker, etc. And he was just a heightened version of that. But there's examples of this like multiple per generation of comedians that just have like a character that they're always playing, and they wear out their welcome, and they hopefully cash their checks while they're still coming in, right?
Yeah, and it's just like, it's just funny when they would do these movies. I guess the same goes for the Ernest movies that Jim Varney did, right? Where it's like, he will just play this character in multiple movies, just like, because Pauly Shore did a bunch of movies, but he never was like doing like, oh, this is the serious Pauly Shore. It was always like a variation on that persona. Encino Man might be the most of it because it was his first movie, so it was like completely unfiltered Pauly Shore. But
I will say Biodome is the unfiltered one.
Maybe, yeah. I'm a Son-in-Law fan, personally. I think Son-in-Law is underrated.
Kim, Son-in-Law or Biodome? What's your pick?
I'm going to say Son-in-Law. I'm going to also say that Encino Man in the UK was called California Man because we don't understand
it. Don't know what Encino is, fair enough.
I mean, even outside Los Angeles, that's a pretty specific,
very regional
reference.
Well,
I live just a couple miles.
I'm going to offer drugs as an answer for the Pauly Shore question.
Cody Smith with the follow-up question: who is the modern Pauly Shore? God, great question.
It's probably some like YouTuber I'm not aware of, right?
Someone on TikTok. Yeah, I don't know. Like, who's really stoned? that's the modern Pauly Shore.
Although, Pauly Shore's character is funny. One of those funny things, right? Because he didn't actually he wasn't like a stoner per se. Like he never was we never saw the Pauly Shore character doing drugs. He was
in a Goofy movie. It was implied with that leaning tower of cheese.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned a Goofy movie because that movie has retained such popularity that's probably his biggest ongoing part of pop culture.
Yeah.
If you want to see him in animated form, there you go.
Yeah. All right. So, have any of you seen Quiet Place 2, by the way? Yeah. So it won't be. Adam Halbert asks, Quiet Place 2 won't be in theaters by the time My Province reopens. Oh, Province. Where are you from? What is the best way to watch it at home? What would you recommend?
VHS.
Shadow Puppets.
So stream it, but stream it to your VCR, and then I think that is the best way to watch any horror movie, right, Kim?
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
The scratchiness and the grain, it only makes it scarier.
Yeah, I don't know where he lives, but
it's distributed by Paramount, just for people's reference.
Yeah, so it's going to be on Paramount Plus within 45 days, but I don't know. Province makes me think he might be in a place that won't have Paramount Plus, so he might have to figure out the local way to legally watch A Quiet Place 2.
Yeah. A question for Kim, just because I don't know anybody Welsh. Is there a Welsh superhero?
Because I'm likely to know. Not that I know of. But do you remember Condor Man? Not Welsh.
No.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Condor Man.
So he was played by an actor called Michael Crawford, who I don't think has any Welsh ancestry, but I encourage you to seek it out for the novelty factor. It's from 1981. Michael Crawford was famous in England for playing a character called Frank Spencer, who had a thing, like Pauly Shore.
The other thing that's funny about Condor Man is that it was Disney, because it's Disney before they owned Marvel, so we can make a superhero. Condor Man.
I actually just quickly Googled Welsh actors. You do have a Welsh superhero, not original, but Mr. Fantastic, Eoin Gruffudd.
Oh,
I believe that's the correct pronunciation. Eoin Gruffudd is a Welshman and Mr. Fantastic. So also Catherine Zeta-Jones. Interesting. She's probably been a superhero at some point, right? Or is that just in Entrapment?
She fought the Phantom. She fought the Phantom.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, more Welsh representation in our comic book movies, I always say. The Zen asks, in honor of the CW Powerpuff reboot, what old kids show would you do a CW Riverdale style reboot of? I think that they're finding out that maybe the Powerpuff Girls was the wrong choice to do this. I think the thing about Riverdale is you don't have living people with nostalgia for Archie comics, or at least not people who watch the CW and have like a lot of love for the original. Like, I think you got to choose something older, like Betty and Veronica and Archie. Like, that's perfect to do a young, cool kids reboot for. So I would go back to like the Bazooka Joe comics, you know, give that its gritty, sexy CW show. But I wouldn't do anything made in the last 30 years. I think you got to go way back.
Riverdale had something that worked for them well, which is a proof of concept by the comic books had done all these like, it's Archie with zombies, it's Archie with this, where they'd been like, we can just take these characters and do totally different crazy situations with them, and it's just they're the constant. But yeah, I don't know. Like, do you want to see like the Jetsons, but cool? I don't know. You know,
they've been trying to make the Jetsons forever. Like, why hasn't that happened at all?
Well, yeah, I'd love to see Jem and the Holograms actually, because the film didn't do it justice. So,
no. Right,
I agree. The Misfits, their songs are better, and I want to see it done right.
And there's it can be done. The Josie and the Pussycats movie, very underrated. Good soundtrack. Yes. So there you go. I think there's some really good fan questions still, but let's hold on to them because it's so rare that we get good ones that we'll hold on to those for Monday.
Don't listen to this.
Just want to just raise your game. No, these are all great. So keep them coming, and we hope you guys will keep coming back because we will. Probably next Monday, unless we do a review this Friday. Who's to say? Keep you on your toes. But thanks for watching today. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Eric, for joining me, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.